YouTube as your platform for distribution arbitrage. Okay, so what do I mean by this, right? What I mean by this has two parts. Basically, part one is what is distribution arbitrage? What do I mean by the concept of distribution arbitrage? And this is when someone else makes something that you really like or that you think has value, but they choose to deliver it in a way that either doesn't work today in these times because it's an outdated way of distributing something that you don't want, that people want, or because they are distributing to a target audience that they can't reach or they are not trying to reach, but you think you could reach, or yeah, basically to certain niches or to places where you know language that the people you are that the people that are making something that you really like or really value don't know, that kind of stuff, or because they are overlooking mediums. This particular thing is like, I think the common answer to those is that is they are, for example, overlooking YouTube as a means of distributing stuff. And yeah, we've covered what is distribution arbitrage. So why do I mean by YouTube as your platform, right? Why you? And this is because I think there is a lot of gap yet to be used. Like basically browsing YouTube, you can see basing YouTube and non-YouTube places, you can contrast that non-YouTube spaces still have a lot of YouTubeization to be made, right? There is a ton of gaps where probably the only reason where people haven't made videos is because a small amount of friction either on the consumer side or on the producer side, right? Because people are not making videos with enough YouTubiness to be distributed well, or because they are, or because people still have not gotten to YouTube to consume that kind of content, when YouTube is actually a good place to make that kind of stuff, right? And now, why do I think this is important? Basically, I follow this guy Visa Camp, and he's a Twitter, a writer in general. He got very big on Twitter and stuff like that. And one of his like recurring takes is solve for distribution, right? Either do what combined with do what you love but solve for distribution, pay attention to that, or like try to analyze how they solve for distribution on successful products or things like that. He has this blog post with a kind of compiling his most, like, I guess, elaborated takes on solving for distribution and why it's important, right? I will link all this below. But basically, yeah, distribution is very important, and it's generally something that is overlooked. And this is kind of a pattern that if you're a marketer like him, you can see, or if you're someone that watches a lot of YouTube but then gets the like will to watch more and finds that there actually is not always, there are like a lot of gaps of on YouTube, right? There are a lot of gaps that could be covered by people. Okay, now I want to give some examples of the things that I said before, but more concretely, right? So the first thing I would say is niche-based arbitrage, right? This is the first kind of arbitrage that I thought about, and this is the kind of arbitrage that inspired this particular video, me making this, right? So there's this channel called, well, Katie's Techly, because she's her name, I assume. So that's her name. And yeah, she talks about like the untold secrets of successful bloggers and stuff like that, or like how to make it on YouTube, why no one is watching your vlogs, how to make your vlogs more interesting, like the rise and fall of daily vlogging, stuff like that, right? So content about talking about vlogs. And I found her channel because she made some podcast guide, because I wanted to know how to start a podcast in the mental sense, right? What is a good concept of a podcast, instead of like the logistical sense on how to use what mic or where to upload X files or that stuff. I wanted to know like what kind of what is a good concept of a podcast, right? What has success, or what kind of, yeah. And she made a good video about that. So yeah, I checked her channel out more, and yeah, found that she's talking a lot about this kind of blog stuff. And yeah, basically what made me think about this, what watching her channel made me think, is that she's arbitraging this, yeah, general advice about YouTube advice and stuff like that, and she really narrowed it down to vlogs, right? Because vlogs, yeah, and this niche, yeah, vlogs is like the niche to which she arbitraged, to which she narrowed down her, yeah, her knowledge, her general knowledge. She arbitraged it and put it down into analyzing blogs, right? This general knowledge, she analyzed this niche thing and put it out there. And this niche thing, the good thing is that it has this archetype of person who consumes this thing, right? This blog kind of thing has this Emma Chamberlain watcher type energy, right? If you watch, this kind of blog genre is really popular among this kind of Emma Chamberlain type public, kind of girl bossy kind of stuff. Yeah, this kind of girl, general kind of female audience, stuff like that, right? And she kind of hit on that point really well. She found her niche well, and she's getting like pretty decent in this particular case. Not bad. Some other videos are getting like decent views about this topic, and she found something interesting among all this, right? And what I want to make clear is that I'm not saying that she, for example, is stealing someone else's content, because, for example, there is a lot of people giving YouTube advice, right? And her particular success point, in my opinion, is that she gives them these tips. She narrows them down to like why vlogs are successful or how to make your vlog be good, right? So she uses this storytelling type advice, or use B-roll type advice, or like use imagery to storytell. She narrows that advice down to vlogs, and that's what in my opinion, makes her channel like kind of pop. Has made those videos pop, and why she's making so much of these kind of videos pop right now as well, right? Because she's not stealing this kind of general advice, because that's kind of based on first principles analysis, right? If you think of success of YouTube video success on stuff like that, you will generally arrive at some kind of storytelling narrative, so people keep with attention and stuff like that, right? So talking about these metrics and about the analyzing first principle by first principles, how something works, gives you in the end what she's talking about. But the key of her thing is that she narrowed down her distribution and arbitrage distribution to this, right? So she's not stealing content. The next kind of example I wanted to give was this thing I called timely emotional type example. And this, in my opinion, is closer to stealing, but maybe it's not strictly stealing, right? And my example for this is basically Twitch clips, or, for example, this podcast clip I uploaded that got 500,000 views and stuff like that, right? So it's stealing in the sense that I didn't record any of this. I put in some labor, if you want to call it like that, which is cutting stuff and putting some kind of lettering, this super basic editing, right? But the kind of value prop of this, right, is basically what I said here. I don't own anything. I didn't even want crazy views when I uploaded it. I put it on public because I knew that it could get views, but I didn't expect so many, right? But I found the clip inspiring, and I couldn't be asked to like wait until other people did this thing. I wanted this clip for reference for another forum. I wanted to make a post in a forum where this clip was mentioned there, right? And I didn't want to wait until either their team or some other random person who isn't necessarily going to upload this same fragment, or maybe it's going to be like a fragment padded with more stuff, like maybe a 10-minute fragment instead of a 3-minute fragment with the things I wanted in the order I wanted it, because he talked about this second part before talking about this in the video, right? And they were separated by, I don't know, some like 10-15 minutes of other topics, right? So I wanted them in this order, with these lengths. So I did them myself and uploaded it, right? And then the arbitrage, in my opinion, is kind of, it is closer to stealing because I don't own any of the footage. I didn't organize any of this, but the arbitrage is what I called in this kind of subtitle, timely emotional, right? I'm being on time. I'm doing this thing faster than other people because I wanted it now, so I did it faster than others. And I got caught advantage. I got like momentum arbitrage, if we wanted to call it like that. Maybe I don't know exactly. This is maybe This is, the momentum arbitrage part applies to other Twitch clips, right? For example, when a famous El Chocas, for example, a famous Spanish streamer said something outrageous. A lot of people clipped it and uploaded it. So the people who uploaded it first got like this kind of momentum arbitrage, right? But also the emotional arbitrage, timely emotional, because this part was emotional for me. I found the emotion on it and I wanted it uploaded, right? You need some kind of person with emotions to do this, right? You need this emotional part is what gives the arbitrage, this arbitrage part is what gives the arbitrage part value, in my opinion. And then the other kind of arbitrage I wanted to talk about, the last example I'm going to put in this video, but there are many more, I'm sure, is this language / culture arbitrage. So for context, in this Olivia Son video, she talks about, well, the topic is irrelevant, but yeah, she made this video and a person commented on here, another Spanish person, they commented, I think this video is important, I want to translate this video and publish it, right? So this is some kind of arbitrage that, in my opinion, provides a lot of value, right? It's like access to another audience. So people can, but the pure translation arbitrage is not, in my opinion, something that you can depend on, and that really, it creates value, but it's not something that you can use, that you can use, right? Because if Olivia wants her video translated, she can translate it and take advantage of her personal brand and use it towards her points, right? Because the timely emotional thing, for example, is also some kind of suboptimal kind of arbitrage, because I can get views, but monetizing feels kind of wrong, using other people's content or uploading clips, monetizing that and keeping it to yourself. If you're not tied to the YouTuber and you're a professional clipper for someone else, it doesn't make sense as an individual perspective, right? But the timely emotional thing, like being someone who can feel emotions, is important because you can translate those into in your own voice. If I didn't want to build on Mr. Beast's cloud for the clip, I could myself put those takeaways out loud, right? Like I'm saying in this video right now, for example. So there is kind of arbitration ideas in that sense, but it's different. So basically, what I was saying, this guy, translation, he wanted to translate this thing, so there is arbitrage in this. It's less exploitable from one point of view, but it is exploitable. For example, I tell him this. Another option would be to ask for forgiveness instead of permission, like I did with the Mr. Beast clip. I could ask Mr. Beast for forgiveness if he says, hey, you have my video with 500,000 views. Okay, I wanted it. If you don't want it up, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for having done it. I will delete it. I don't care. Right? I will. I do care, but please upload it yourself because I want this clip. But I understand why you want it down. But in my opinion, the good thing is cultural arbitrage, right? Not only, it's like taking her ideas from this video and using the parts that people will not understand with a pure translation. For example, people will probably won't know if they can't watch English content in English, they probably won't know who Abby Shapiro is, right? Or they won't know who Alice Capel is. So maybe they will have seen some TikToks about the stay-at-home girlfriend or not, but they won't understand these kind of things that even if you purely translate it and provide value that way, maybe they still lack some context to really internalize the message of the video. And that's where the figure of the person who has this arbitrage, this cultural arbitrage, comes in, right? So that's basically my take on this, that there is a lot of room for this too. And my conclusion on this is that basically YouTube is like a great platform for this, because the relationship between the agent of distribution, which is you making the video, and the audience and stuff like that is really close. So it's like a good place to communicate in this way, in this kind of niche directed way, or taking advantage of these timely events and seeing this feedback, this closed feedback, yeah, YouTube is like a good place for this, for example, compared to, I don't know, maybe. And also YouTube itself really, yeah, pushes stuff to people and stuff like that in a good way. I have a lot of videos about YouTube in general and why I'm making these videos. So, well, you will be able to check them out here when I link the end card and stuff like that. But yeah, basically, that I think there is huge alpha on this. Alpha is this finance concept, which is basically excess returns on an investment compared to an index. Yeah, so basically, if the whole market is going up, but your stuff is going up more than the market and you. Yeah, in that case, the excess return on the investment is called alpha. And well, it is more complicated than that, but basically, yeah, it's that. So there is huge alpha on this, right? I see a lot of alpha in this arbitrage type deal, right? You can get a lot, you can provide a lot of value and get a lot of value yourself from doing this, I think. And yeah, if you, yeah, basically, yeah, I made this video because I'm making a 100 video series, and you can see it here. And I also talk a lot about, well, not a lot, but I've talked a bit about YouTube videos and stuff like that. And yeah, I think you can see them. Yeah, basically you can see them here. Well, you can see my 100 video series here. You can leave a comment if you think this is interesting, and yeah, see you.